and onto the carburettors. Okay. Right, these carbs were removed possibly, I don't know, maybe 18 months ago and cleaned, ultrasonicked. They were filthy. They were minging off this bike, and anyway, the jets were removed, etc., and all put in, anyway, they were reassembled. The car was balanced, and to be fair, the bike appeared to run okay, although it probably only did about 100 miles, and then it had to be parked up again, so it went back into storage again, and not for long, maybe a year, 9 months, a year, something like that. Came started up again, and they actually leaked. So with just the pressure of the fuel pump, the standard fuel pump which is there, they started to dribble fuel out of somewhere. I actually think it was it's like a Bakelite plastic between. There's only one input, fuel input, round this side from the fuel pump, and it goes into little T pieces that go across and then into the front too, and it's that's really the O-rings on the end of there, I think, is where it's leaking from. So that's what's made me kind of go in here. Now, a bit of going in, a bit of blue Peter is one I made earlier. I've actually removed the bolts from the float bowls, and even after, well, not a very long time, we've got crap in there already. So I think we need to be looking at so I've got some paper laid out already, front and rear. Now, with it having the cable adjusters here, throttle cable adjusters on the front, we know these are the front 2 cylinders. So not that this particularly matters where the float bowl bottoms come from, but at the end of the day I'm just going to put them back where they came from. So we know they're the fronts, and again, look at the crap in that one. Yeah, don't do pilot jets any good, that. So there's the front with the cable adjusters, and these two here are the rear. Again, crap in the bottom of there. So they're going in the tank. I'll just scratch a little identification inside these so I know which ones they go on. Like I said, I don't actually think that particularly matters. But moving on here, I've got 2 trays. I've got front and rear. Now, the front 2 carburettors and the rear 2 carburettors, in Honda's wisdom, are different. When I say different, the car bodies are the same. They run different jets. Now, the front 2 jets, I've already had a look. Emulsion tubes, I can't find any identification marks on, but I think they're different. I'll just check again in a minute, but I know. Main jet size from the front, for anyone who's a bit confused here, is the fronts are definitely on 110s. Okay, the rear mains are on 112s. Now, I think Yamaha did something like that with the FZ1000 and stuff in years gone by. I mean, I think it was the inner pots ran a bit hotter or something, or so they made them slightly richer, but perhaps it's the fact that these rear cylinders, do they run a little bit hotter? I'm not sure, but in Honda's wisdom, again, they've just gone up, that 2 on the size. So, just to clarify, front mains 110, pilot jets at 38, and rear mains at 112 with pilot jets at 38. Okay, so there's my tray as a front and rear identified by marker pen inside. So they're going to get ready and bagged up, put in a little pot that I have that goes inside the ultrasonic tank. So moving on, it's not just the mains that are different. I'll do it off camera and then I'll show you on camera, because I'm going to try and actually find the identification numbers on the emulsion tubes. But yeah, the jets were a little bit reluctant to come out, and this is just all going to go. I'm going to strip it and put it all back in the ultrasonic tank. So there is actually spring lengths on the seat, because they're a CV carburetor. The spring lengths for the on top of the diaphragm for the slide is different lengths on the front to they are on the rear. So I'm going to get all that slackened off, a bit of Blue Peter going on there again, and then we'll, when I've got it prepped, we'll pick the video back up. Okay, we're identifying, we've got the slides out, the rear set, we've got front right there, front left just been removed here. So on there, I just want to show you, I've been taking pictures just so I know reference to where little cable brackets, that sort of thing go. Nothing better than, so I'm just going to identify it rear left when we move it, when we bring it out. Right, okay, I don't know if you can see that. 2 front springs, same length. Okay, is that picking that up? Let's just have a look at that. 2 front springs, same length, and a rear slide spring, the shorter one. Okay, so I'm going to make a note of that on this piece of paper in a minute, but just, and as we see, I've just taken the top off that. This is the rear bank carbs, and the spring just being removed is a rear spring. Okay, so there we are for reference, rear and front. Just position this back here. Yeah, another key thing to look for is that the diaphragm was actually seated properly in its little groove, and obviously when you come to putting it back together, then it is still seated properly. They rip easy, so real care. And do you know what, I don't even know as you would get these diaphragms anymore. I'm not sure whether you would or not. So my slides are looking really good condition. There's hardly any wear. Well, there's showing no signs of wear on the slides. So the needles look, they're obviously straight and spring loaded, held in position, and no wear on the needles. So we can sit those there like that for the minute. So what I'm going to do is just make a note. So on the front, long springs, and rear, short springs. Okay, so I'm going to put them out of the way. I'm actually going to put them out of the way over here and bang them up. They don't need to go in the ultrasonic tank, those, but I want them out of the way so they don't get damaged or lost or... Anyway, so we've got the tool up again. So we have our notes, and we have our notes of what we've achieved and what we've made a note of so far. Just a food for thought here. When you get this far down, he's not seeing to that detail. That little brass comes out. You might think he's fastened in, and it may not want to come out, but you know and I know, sod's law when it's at work. You tip them up, and that little brass, it's an airway, but that little brass airway, they do come out and they do fall out. So make a note of it. And when I get these single out, I'm going to see if I'm going to actually just see if it'll just give it a little tug with a tiny pair of long nose pliers, and make sure that if it is going to come out, I catch it. Okay, so where are we up to now? Let's have a look. We've identified our slides, identified our front and rear jets. They definitely want cleaning. So our notes, so let me just have a look now back on this. Now, food for thought on these carbs. I seem to remember a lot as I'm going along, but the float pivot pin hits the throttle linkage, part of the throttle linkage. So there it is, and at no point does it go out of the way enough for you to, there is actually a little, I remember that now, there's a little notch, there is, there's a little notch that Oh yeah, that's it. I do remember that now. That little notch, is there a little notch there? Just allows you to slide the pin out. Wow, the things they think about, eh? Again, looking at the carburettors, these are the front two, so the pin I've just removed is off the rears. So I'm just going to put the pin in the rear, and I can identify. I remember that now. It was, yeah, I do remember that now. It's funny, innit? I don't remember even where I live sometimes, but wow, look at the crud on that. You can even see it on my glove. So all this is going to be, so when it's on the bike, that's the rear right. So rear right, the needle is in the rear. And same again for this one. There should be a point on this one. Yep, there it is. There's a little notch there. Just that my hook will just go into there. So if we start to remove the pin, there's a hole for that one. There we go, it's gone into the hole that they provided. And again, now that one is front, so I'm going to put that in front and bring out the float. And again, the needles, they're all going in the ultrasonic, so that's front. So when it's on the bike, that is front left, front right, and front left. So front left sits there with that. Where did my, there we go. So we've got the last float remaining. Luckily the pins are coming out. Yeah, proper luckily the pins are coming out, because these carbs, I don't know whether you would. So looking at that's front, so these are rear, so that's a rear pin. Yeah, these carbs, I'm not sure you'd even find these carbs. You know, so that is, that's rear left, rear right. Hang on a minute, we've got something wrong there. On the bike, that's left. Yeah, so it's actually that one there. See, I got to second guess and, you know, and keep yourself. So that's a rear. I actually took the little split pin out the linkage there, thinking that, well, to actually separate them up to get them in the tank, I'm going to have to do. But it was, and just while we're on camera there, I remembered it's that little notch. There's a little notch and a hole there for removal of the pins. But yeah, the white crud that's sort of come back inside these carbs, it's amazing. I mean, the fuel's got a lot to do with it, I'm sure it has. Now in here, these jets here, is a fixed jet. There is no removing that, so it's kind of pressed in, and I'm even attempting to get that out. That's going to get attacked when they go in the tank. So what we've carefully got to do now is separate them as a pair, and remembering that there is a fuel line between the two, and these things are dying to break. Okay, they're absolutely dying to break. So the way I'm going to attack this, I think, is I'm going to have them back. It sits on that tick over screw, so I'm going to take that out and try and get them to sort of sit level. That's in the front, but hey, it's we kind of know where that goes. There's only one of them. Right. So turning them over that way, if we remove the plenum chamber off it, the bolts for the plenum chamber off, which I slackened off earlier, I did the 8s anyway. This, strangely, there's a couple of other bolts in there, so just let me get my let me get the other 2 bolts out. Okay, so where are we? That one. So he's out, and it is only that one. So let's have a look. So I'm going to remove the plenum chamber bolts. Remember, then that leaves us with the carb sort of just sat together on the springs, little plastic pipes together, and we'll change that back to a 9/8 volt one. So I'm hoping you see enough of this on camera. All I'm doing is removing the plenum chamber bolts now into the bolt magnet. Yeah, it's slackened off. This is where it really could go pear-shaped, as they say, because if we break these plastic pipes, we've got a bit of an issue. Right, so let me have a look what's happening here. Get it in the light. Tip that for a minute, holding on to it. I don't think there's anything else. I think it's just they kind of sit on a spigot, so in the mouth of the carb. So yeah, there's that one. Just a little help. There's not like certain little devils. Right, the front two are free. I'm not jamming a screwdriver in, it's literally just set on dowels, and it'll allow us to see a lot more when we get this plenum chamber out of the way, so that they're all still dancing together as they were. They're just sat there though. Okay, flat surface. Always one in there. There we go. Right, plenum removed off the carb. Just in fact, that can go in the tank. I'm going to put that straight in the tank. As we can see, let me see what you're seeing here. As we can see now, our bank of carburettors. What we get. Okay, there's the two linkages, one choke linkage. Actually goes all the way across. It obviously it moves from this crank here to here, and then underneath the pivot there's another rod that goes through to this one, and then it starts again and operates this choke. So much thought and etc has gone into this. It's but I don't want to get too involved with this. All we're trying to do is make this just sort of spin around, we'll have a look. All I want to try and do is make sure that this doesn't leak. So I'm just seeing whether I can show you this without. As they come apart, let's just have a look. I'm just playing with this for the minute. The spring is from the throttle linkage, so in you go in there. So I'm just having a look at what I need to do here. Right, he's just come off there, which is good. Do you know I sold a set of these Bakelite plastic pipes to a chap, and I often wondered whether I should have kept them. Have a look at this again at this side. There we go. The throttle linkage has just been removed. There we go. So we're getting here now. All I want to do is remove that. Now that is a hen's. They're hen's teeth then. Yeah, they really are. So original pipes, original O-rings that's going to be on there. They look a bit square, they look a bit flat, I'm suspecting it was one of those. But what happens is, as he feeds that cylinder, as the fuel is fed into that cylinder, and then this cylinder then feeds into this cylinder, this carburetor, so yeah, carburetor feeds into that. Basically it just goes in between all four of them. There's a line with a pipe. Okay, so there's going to be what, 6 O-rings there, 1 2 3 4 5 6 O-rings there. These are air corrector pipes that, see that, the O-ring must be inside there. My God, I don't believe that. Unless that's gone, we need to look a bit closer at that, because that hasn't got an O-ring on. Well, that's got an O-ring on there. That side hasn't got one. Yeah, so I'm going to have to look a bit closer into that one, where that one is. It says where that one is. It definitely isn't in there. How crazy is that? Let me just try that again in there. Did that just slide in and out of there like a... Yeah, it did. So, get my head into gear here. It is just vent, because that pipe's always open. So it's a carburetor atmosphere vent, but at the end of the day there should be O-rings on there. So anyway, now then, okay, so what I want to do, I don't want to get it into too big a jigsaw puzzle, but I want to just try. There we go, there's the other one. These can't tell you how brittle these little pipes are. Yeah, these little pipes, and the other one, right, this one. So what I'm going to do before I go any further, that's where they come from, in that line. I don't want to start taking the choke linkages apart. We can still just do this as it's sat here, I think. So I'm going to get all my O-rings out, and we're going to have a look at what we've got that we can replace these with. As we can see, we have full bank in the ultrasonic. Just going to give them another tickle. You can kind of see the cloud coming off the aluminium. You know, fantastic machines these, absolutely fantastic. So anyway, we'll move on, we'll pick it up when we get these out.